Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy fun day, guys. In this presentation, here's what we're going to talk about, guys. Here's what we're going to talk about, guys. Someone left a comment on one of my last presentation, and they said that they wanted me to make a presentation talking about being invisible to women. Now, I believe a lot of guys today are invisible to women because women's standards are just through the roof. And I was watching a video yesterday, guys, one of those Pop the Balloon show videos, and it was a brother on there, right? And all the women popped the balloon, right, when they looked at this brother. And I told myself, I would not go on a dating show that is urban because I already know what sisters are looking for. The brother had a good career, seemed decent, but as a brother, if you're not fitting that stereotype, you automatically gonna be discriminated against. And these women nowadays, their standards are just so unrealistic to where I believe the average guy nowadays is invisible to women. I believe most guys today are invisible to women. Unless you're famous or rich, or you look like one of these fashion models, I truly believe that the average guy nowadays is invisible to women. Most guys are not getting, women are not checking for the average dude nowadays. Like women literally, I feel like to really have females checking for you and looking at you nowadays, you got to look like a fashion model. You either got to look like a model, be rich, or be famous in order to have females really checking for you and looking at you like that. Because if you don't look like a fashion model, if you're not rich or famous, you're not going to have females checking for you nowadays. I'm just sorry. Females are not going to be looking your way. And I'm just being real with you here. These females nowadays, the standards are just ridiculously unrealistic. And the average guy cannot measure up to what women want nowadays. So I think it's safe to say that most guys are invisible. And the thing that trips me out too is you got a lot of women who try to act like they still don't understand why men don't approach them. Like, come on now. You're 30-something, 40-something years old, still wondering why men don't approach. A lot of men don't approach women is because a lot of men know how y'all women are. A lot of men know that y'all superficial, and a lot of men been rejected their whole life anyway. So you got to put yourself in the mindset of a guy who been rejected his whole life. A man who been rejected his whole life, you think he gonna have nuts about himself to approach you? No, he's not. So a lot of women need to start putting themselves in the position of a man. But women could never fathom the position of a man. A lot of women don't understand what men go through. And they're not sensitive to the things that men go through. Like, a lot of you ladies fail to realize that when you've been rejected your whole life and you've been overlooked your whole life, you're not going to have the confidence to even approach a woman. A lot of dudes are just burnt out on women. Some dudes been treated so horribly by women, they don't even waste their time approaching women nowadays. And women, when they standards are just so high nowadays, most guys are overlooked by women. I would not, me personally, I would not even go on a dating show unless the female contestants had some diversity. If it was a completely urban dating show, I would not go on there. Because I noticed when I watch these urban dating shows, all the brothers look like they either rappers or trappers. So it would have to have some kind of diversity in order for me to go on one of these dating shows. But regardless of ethnicity, these women nowadays just have very, very, very crazy standards when it come to guys. You got women out here, they rejecting guys for dumb reasons. They don't even have legitimate reasons to even turn a dude down. You know? A lot of these women, they rejecting guys for dumb reasons. So, it really sucks being invisible to women, but unless you're one of those cream of the crop guys, unless you're one of those dudes who look like you belong in a modeling ad or you look like you belong in Hollywood, you're not going to have females checking for you like that. You just not. And these women, when it comes to physical attraction, it's like, it's like they want a dude that look like a fashion model. If you don't look like a fashion model, it's over. Because that's what most women want nowadays. They want a man that look like he could model for Salvatore Ferragamo. Or a dude that got money. Or fame. But I truly believe when it come to brothers, our culture is just ridiculous. When it come to brothers, one thing I will say when it come to us brothers, if you're not street certified, if you don't look like you done served time in prison, if you don't look like you come from the projects, if you don't fit that criteria, sisters are not going to want you at all, straight up. And I know that for a fact. See, it's different in our community for us brothers. You know, we know that women are superficial and most guys nowadays are being overlooked by women. But in our culture, in the urban culture, as a brother, if you don't have no street cred, if you're not a dude that's from the streets, and you can't even perpetrate being a dude that's from the streets, if you're not a dude that come fresh out the projects, sisters ain't gonna want nothing to do with you. And y'all brothers know I'm right about that. That's why if I was to go on a dating show, it would have to have some kind of diversity there. I couldn't just go on a dating show where it's just nothing but sisters, you know. And that's the sad part about in our culture for us brothers. Like, as a brother, if you're not a street dude, sisters are not gonna be checking for you. That's the way it is in our culture. Like, and you know, if you're not from the projects, if you don't look like you been in the field ducking chopper bullets, sisters are not gonna want to deal with you. They not gonna want to date you. They not gonna want to talk to you. They not gonna want to marry you. As a brother, from my observation, and I know a lot of brothers can co-sign what I'm saying, as a brother, if you are not from the streets, if you're not a street dude, sisters are not gonna want to mess with you. If you're not fresh out the projects, you know, and a lot of, you can't even, and the reason why I say you can't perpetrate it, because sisters can tell if you're from the streets by your demeanor, how you speak, your vernacular, all of that. So you can't even perpetrate being from the streets. See, back when I was in middle school and high school, I thought that you could perpetrate being from the projects. People from the projects speak a certain dialect. You can't even try to emulate that if you don't speak that way, or if you're not from the projects. So, and you know the dialect that I'm talking about. So what I had to learn is best to just play your position. If you're not a street dude, just stay in your lane, because, you know, sisters can tell if you a dude that's straight out the hood. They can tell by your demeanor, how you talk, all of that. So you can't perpetrate that. Because I remember in my middle school and high school days, I went through a phase where I was trying to be a thug. And that didn't fit me at all, because I don't come from that kind of background. So I can't perpetrate something that I don't come from. So sisters can definitely tell. But the sad part is, as a brother, if you're not a street dude, you definitely gonna be overlooked by females. You definitely gonna be overlooked if you're not from the streets. You know, as a brother, if you're not from the street, if you're not thugged out, if you haven't served no time in prison, oh, you're gonna be overlooked by sisters. Sisters are not gonna want nothing to do with you. I'm living proof of it. And a lot of you brothers know that I'm right. Especially a lot of you brothers that grew up suburban and you wasn't raised in the projects. You know everything I'm saying is words of a God-given Jesus Christ. Everything I'm saying is true. And it's just sad that you got some guys out here who are just totally overlooked by females because they don't look a certain way, or they don't have a certain level of fame, or they don't have a certain level of money. You know, that's the main reason why I want to be a millionaire. Because if I was a millionaire, I would not be overlooked by women anymore. No. Plenty of women would want to be with me if I was a millionaire. That's why I want to be rich so bad, so I can simp hard. You remember that rap song back in the old day? Pimp hard. Pimp hard. I'm a simp hard. I'm a simp hard. Like I say, guys, unless you a guy that is very attractive physically to these women, or you got clout, or you got lots of money, it's like females, especially nowadays, they don't even see you. It's like you invisible. And it sucks being a guy that's invisible to women. It really does. But with the standards and the times that we living in, more and more guys are going to go unnoticed by women. And it can really put a bad taste in your mouth when you done been ignored and overlooked by females your entire life. It's really sad. But that's just the way it is for some guys. Some guys were never acknowledged by women. Some guys were just never really sought after by females. It's bad out here. It's bad. And the sad part is, if you're a dude that's been overlooked by females your entire life, it's not gonna get any better. Being invisible to women is a terrible reality. You know, I wish it wasn't that way for a lot of guys. But it's like, what can you do? I mean, if you've been invisible to females all of your life since your adolescent days, there really is nothing you can do. You're just screwed. You're just totally screwed. And a lot of guys are screwed. But it's like, what can you do? You know, I know people like to attack guys who are in these positions, and they want to ridicule guys who are in these positions. But it's like, what are we supposed to do? All I can say is simping is the only option. I truly believe that as a man, if you're a guy who's been overlooked most of your life, and you never been one of those guys that females are checking for, I truly believe that simping is your best option. I hope Mr. Lucario or some dating coaches can co-sign what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is God-given gospel right here. I truly believe that if you're a guy who's been ignored most of your life by females, you've never been a guy that females are really checking for like that, I believe simping is that's really your best option. Especially if you're one of them dudes who've been invisible your whole life by females. Females have never really been checking for you like that. That's the main reason why I want to be a millionaire. Because I know if I was riding around in a Rolls Royce, got on a Hermenegildo Dozenya suit, got a Patek Philippe on my wrist, women would notice me then. Oh yeah. If I had all of that, women would notice me. And that's why I'm always talking about being a millionaire. Because I know if a woman saw that I was a millionaire, they would definitely notice me. They would definitely notice me. You know? They would. And I feel that's the great equalizer for guys that women are not checking for like that. If you're a dude that females have never been attracted to like that, if you one of them dudes that don't have no clout like that, you wasn't popular. That's why it pays to have fame. But everybody can't be an athlete. Everybody can't be a musician. Everybody can't be a actor. So everybody can't get to that celebrity status of clout and fame. But money is the great equalizer. Even Alpha Male Strategy said that. If you're a guy that females have never been checking for like that, they never been attracted to you like that, money is the great equalizer. Simping is the best option. Tricking off and simping. I truly believe that is the best advice for guys that women are not checking for. Being a simp and tricking off. Because if I was a millionaire, I'd give a woman $50,000 or $60,000. I'd give a woman $100,000 if I had it. So I hope some 304s are taking notes. Keep your eyes on me, because I'm trying to rise to the top. And when I rise to the top, I'm going to go ahead and wife one of you guys up, because that's my goal in life. You know, I wish I would have came to this conclusion a long time ago, but that is the only option for guys who've never been sought after by women, being a simp. Simping. Simp hard. Simp hard. If you've been invisible by women your whole life, being a simp is the option that you want to go. That is the route you want to go down. Because it's like, what other choice do you have? If you're a guy, you've never been sought after by women like that, females have never desired you like that, what other choice do you have as a man? You know, you don't have no fame. You know, women are not physically turned on by you. So the only thing left is simping, tricking off. And that's why I'm always talking about being a millionaire. Because I know that if all of us dudes who were ignored and treated like garbage all of our lives by women, if we was all millionaires, problem would be solved. But I feel for dudes who've been invisible to women their whole life. I feel for dudes like that. And sad to say that a lot of guys can't understand dudes like that. Dudes who've been sought after their whole life, they can't understand dudes like us. They can't understand dudes like us. Dudes who, dudes who've had females in rotation from the time they were adolescents all the way into their adult years. They can't understand dudes of our caliber. Dudes who've been overlooked and just mainly ignored all their life. You know? A lot of guys just, the sad part about it, in a nutshell, a lot of guys just wasn't given a fair chance. And that's the sad part about these women. Women, they never gave a lot of guys a fair shot. And that's the sad part. And that's sad when you have to admit to yourself as a man that you were never given a fair shot. But that's women for you. My heart goes out to dudes who've been ignored by women their whole life. It really does. But I feel that's the only option for guys who've been invisible to women their whole life. Simping. Tricking off with that money. I mean, what other choice do you have? There really is no other choice. But it's a real brutal and sad reality when you've been overlooked and just invisible to females your whole life, from your adolescent years all the way into your adult life. It's really disappointing. But it's like, what can you do? There's really nothing you can do. That's why I say life is so unfair. Life is just so unfair. Some of us will curse from day one. It's just sad, man. And that's another reason why I backed away from Christianity in the church, because the way that some people suffer and all the misfortune that some people endure, it's just sad. It's really, really sad. And it's like, why would the Almighty Creator create some people to just suffer for eternity? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. But that's all I got to say about this, guys. This was a good topic that someone wanted me to talk about. I'm glad I'm talking about this again, because I don't think I really ever really talked about being invisible to women in depth. It is a harsh reality that a lot of guys live, but a lot of guys would never talk about it because it's just too brutal and painful. Being invisible to women, that's not something that many guys would even want to admit. But you guys have a good evening. Talk to you soon. Happy Sunday.